Thank you, Dr. Flowers, for all you do. My question is this. Our church in Vancouver, Washington is searching for a new pastor. In the coming months, the congregation will have the opportunity to ask questions of the pastoral candidate before the church votes on bringing him on. What questions would you ask a pastoral candidate to test his soteriology and his view on Calvinism versus provisionism? Well, so let me stop there. There was an article I put out quite a few years ago, back when I first started the broadcast. I think it's still up at Soteriology 101. And if you typed in, I think, pastoral candidate, I know there was one by Connect 316 that actually produced Rick Patrick, I think, would know where that's located if it's not on the broadcast. I think it's still there, where it's just a list of questions for pastoral candidates. But I think being real frank with them and just maybe even walking through Tulip with somebody, sitting down with them and just saying real clearly, hey, I'm concerned about the rise of Calvinism. Here are some of my concerns. I want real specifically, I don't want to get caught up in the vocabulary definitions. I just want to be real clear about what you believe about this particular passage or this particular passage, and just, force them in a sense to come right out and to really tell you what they believe with regard to these doctrines, and the importance of being upfront with you about where they stand. And I would be skeptical of somebody who, dodges those questions from either side. If either one of them is trying to dodge the questions or not answer the questions or not get into it, I would be very skeptical of a pastor that would do that. I think somebody who's trying to hide or, be shifty about what they believe is probably has other character issues that I would be careful of. You go on to say, I've had people in the past that deflect the question because they don't like the term Calvinist and will say, I'm not a Calvinist, I'm a biblicist. Yeah, you hear things like that. And say, you might even preface by starting off saying, and I know nobody likes the labels and we'd all rather just call ourselves a Christian and a biblicist, but we want to be careful about what we teach soteriologically about the salvation of all people and God's provision and love for them. And so you might even preface your question by shortcutting that way out, so to speak. And that may be a way of approaching it. David goes on to write, says, for many years I have unenthusiastically accepted Calvinistic doctrine because I didn't have any other answer. With the help of you and your ministry, I'm joyful, confident provisionist. Great, I love to hear that. Which I always was in my heart. I just didn't have the knowledge to express and explain it. Because of this, I do want a new pastor. I do not want a new pastor that wants to preach predestination, limited atonement, et cetera, every Sunday. Thank you so much for your help with this question, and may God bless you for their hard work, study, and love must take a tackle these difficult questions. Thank you for your kind words, and yes, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I think just being really upfront with the questions and about particular passages, how they would interpret particular passages, what they believe about, the key passages of God's love and provision for all people, and what they believe about the predestination passages like Ephesians 1 and Romans 9. Asking them how they interpret or how they believe those things is not out of the purview of asking for a potential pastor.